Welcome to Maroon Sports Talk, your one-stop shop for all EKU sports and esports. My name is Nick.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Joey.
And I'm Caleb.
All right, welcome to episode 2. Joey, glad to have you back. How was your trip home? Was that where you were?
Yes, I did go home last week, and it was a great time to be back home.
Much needed away from Kentucky. So we'll dive right into football. It is the fall, so football is making the headlines so far. Caleb, what do you think about our performance against WKU? Shaking your head. This is bad news coming your
It wasn't exactly what we wanted to see. Battle of the Bluegrass, more like slaughter of the Bluegrass. Final score 31-0 in favor of Western Kentucky. It's just hard to imagine us playing any worse than we played in that game. It's pretty sad when you score more points against a SEC powerhouse in Mississippi State than you do against in-state rival Western Kentucky. We got absolutely shut out, especially after the whole controversy with the jerseys. After that, just not even putting up a point. Definitely not the outing we wanted to have.
It seems flipped almost this year, where a couple years in the past with Parker McKinney, we had to win games 50-40. Now it's like, I feel like at the start of the games we're in it. Like, I watched the entire game and just, again, missed opportunities on defense. We had to drop pick 6 again, a missed fumble opportunity. And just they get tired. The defense gets tired. We keep talking about the talent on the defense this year. They can't really showcase their talents after the second quarter. They're down 17-0.
Right. Well, they're on the field constantly.
Yeah.
It's nothing but 3 and outs. So when the defense is on the field the entire game, they can't make plays because the gas tank's just running low.
Yeah, and then we have to win our home opener. I know this episode will be up after a home opener. Kind of previews. I think I'm going to ask you what your expectations are for this week, and it's just going to be like offense. 7 points in 2 weeks is just not cutting it.
Right.
And so our running backs are doing well. We just can't throw the ball down the field.
You can't.
So what are your expectations going in? Just obviously, I'm assuming points.
I want to see a pass completed down the middle.
Yeah.
I would love to see a pass completed down the middle. I don't care for how deep. We got to see it. Morrissey's really only completing passes, like short passes to the outside. So I think, maybe it's an offensive line issue. Maybe it's a confidence issue with our quarterback. I think we've just got to get passes, we got to get not necessarily chunk plays, but 10, 15 yards down the middle. We've got to be able to show that, we're not just going to go 3 and out every time, because they're just giving us the little out routes on the side, and then they make the tackle. And then they're giving us the 3-yard run, and they make the tackle. It's just not cutting it.
Well, I noticed a couple themes here the first 2 games. We'll get past the 50, and we'll get there by running the ball, and then the defense will catch on, and then we can't complete a pass down the field, and then, we're stopped at the 50-yard, and then we pin them deep. But our defense is gassed by that point. So, yeah. Jenna, kind of moving where you're an athlete, what's it kind of like if you're out of your groove? How do you try and get back into your groove as an athlete? Just doesn't seem to be connecting for the football team. Kind of give your perspective on that.
It definitely affects your confidence and your mental level and your mental capacity of going into a game. I know they have to feel so defeated because they've played 2 games so far and it's not been the outcome they've wanted. So I'm hoping when we go into this weekend, we have a little bit more confidence than I feel like we've went into these last 2 games with. And we are playing West Georgia. They're new in our conference. So this will be a first-time game for the new conference that West Georgia's come into. So I had a chance to listen to Walt Wells speaking yesterday at City Fest, and he was very excited for the game coming up. Yeah. He thinks that the outcome will be better than the last 2 games we've had, and he was talking about how West Georgia is new. So I'm just hoping maybe his confidence will go off onto the players as well.
I don't want to start speculating anything with West Georgia being newly promoted D1. If we can't pull out the home opener, do you think some questions are going to have to be answered if we can't beat a newly named Division I university?
Right. That's definitely the thoughts I was having. If we can't even defend our home field against an opponent that's just now joining, the ASUN conference. If we drop that game, there's got to be some questions on, where the blame falls. And with 3 straight losses and a bad loss if we lose this game, all signs are going to point to the top, which is going to be Wells, Coach Wells.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm not going to speculate. Obviously, I don't want him to lose his job, but if we lose the home opener, they've definitely got to start looking at potentially going in other directions.
Yeah. And both the games, they've put up double-digit numbers on their opponents. They are 1-1, but that's just going to have to be a thing for the defense. Can the offense keep the defense off the field for our side? You know what I'm trying to say. So they do put up a lot of points. So we'll have to keep up on the offensive side. So.
I think another question they're going to have to look at too is once we get back into conference play. I mean, you know what ASUN football looks like. It's pretty high scoring most of the time. It's usually outscore your opponent to win the game.
Yeah.
At least during the Parker McKinney era, that's how it was for EKU. I think if that continues to fail, I think they've got to look at going at another direction and quarterback as well. Second string quarterback Cam Herget is a very talented quarterback.
He came on the field for half the game against Western Kentucky. We were in a lot of read option. We were moving the ball down the field.
Right.
So he did see some playing time.
He's a lot more mobile. I think he could bring, maybe just a more electricity to the offense. So I think if we still struggle to put up points once we're in conference play, I think they've got to look at maybe making the change there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. UAC play is big for football, a lot of high-scoring points. So kind of moving, flipping sides here to the game room, Joey. Welcome back. So I know you had a lot to talk about the Esports World Cup, kind of dive into a little bit of that.
So there were 22 games total for the Esports World Cup, and the trophies themselves were a very unique way of doing them. So each team was given essentially like a triangle, and that represented their team in that game. And if you lost, your triangle would get smashed.
Oh. Okay.
And when you won, you got to choose 3 of your opponents' smash triangles, and they go into the bottom of your trophy. So it's essentially I thought that was a really interesting way you can pick your rivals after you beat them and be like, hey, look, we beat you guys. We won the Esports World Cup. And it was really cool to see how they did that. And then all of the teams, if they didn't make, I don't know what the requirements were, but all the other teams, their smash triangles got put into a giant casing where all the winners were displayed for each game.
That's awesome.
And top 3 were Team Falcons, Team Liquid, and then Team BDS.
And there's like a payout for that, or is it just a trophy?
Yes, I can't find the actual payouts for the teams, but the game with the highest first place was $1 million for the prize pool.
$1 million,
for
oh my gosh.
First place. And then overall the prize pool was $3 million for that game, the top 3.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so kind of moving to the Richmond side of things, EKU, you kind of gave a list. We kind of read it off last week. Kind of talk about what your expectations are for kind of each play and kind of like the games that we're going to be playing this semester for esports.
So I really don't have any insight on that, as I haven't seen any of the teams yet or anything. My sweet mate, he's on the Valorant team again, and he said they're looking pretty good, so I'm hoping to expect big things out of them. But I don't have much information.
What do you think will draw in kind of like the most like attention?
People?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Rainbow Six Siege and Rocket League. Those are 2 of the bigger games that are more known. Obviously, the 2 new games, Fortnite and Call of Duty, I can see those bringing in people, but I don't think they'll bring in the attention that Rainbow Six and Rocket League
Just
have.
for like the viewers and audience, do you want to go ahead and remind us like what teams you're participating on?
We don't have a team for League, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Didn't have enough people, so...
Okay. Wow.
So Rainbow Six Siege seems to be probably the most competitive.
Yes.
Kind of some live streams I've watched. Are you really familiar with any of the gameplay that involves?
I'm very familiar with Rainbow Six Siege. I played it with my me, my brothers, and my cousins. We've spent times playing it in our 5-stack. I've played it with a handful of other people.
What makes it so competitive, like gameplay style wise?
I think where it's the mix of strategy, but also the time you need to put in. Something that's mentioned all throughout gaming is at least in esports is gamer sense or game sense. It's when you know stuff so well about the specific game that you can start to predict things. So for Rainbow, it's knowing which angles you can hold without getting shot, and then knowing how to approach the different bomb sites and how to defend the bomb sites.
That's interesting. That's all right. Well, look, good luck to everybody this season. We'll kind of talk more about it as the semester goes on. Moving to the volleyball court and the soccer pitch. Caleb, what do you expect out of volleyball on their road trip coming up and then moving into conference play?
I feel great about the volleyball team, to be honest. I got to see them play all of their home tournament here in Richmond. Got to attend all 3 games, and they look incredible. I mean, the expectations were obviously high with having 2 of the fifth-year seniors come back, Josie Schmittendorf and Sarah Mitchell. We returned all of our starters except for one from last year, and they looked great, but they have some other pieces added to the roster that have really just bolstered my confidence in them. Backup middle blocker Paige Wagers looked incredible. She is first in the ASUN in blocks this season, and she's 10th in the nation in blocks for all NCAA volleyball. She looks incredible, been playing great. And then 2 of the freshmen have looked really good. Cooper Abney is the other setter in the 6-2 rotation. And then backup hitter Emma Clacerdo has looked great as well. So I think just having extra people that can come in and make plays, hit the ball, set the ball, has really just added more to Coach Bizzani's team.
Yeah.
They're headed to the Chippewa Invitational in Michigan to play Central Michigan, Green Bay, Southeast Missouri. And I expect good things there. I think they can beat all 3 of those teams. Yeah. There's not much I don't think this volleyball team can do.
Yeah. Jenna, moving to being the athlete kind of side of things, what's it like kind of returning to so many players? Is the vibes up? Is there any transitions into okay, we did this last year, we want to try and do this year? Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. I feel like with any athlete, change is really hard, especially if you're coming off such a great season. So I feel like with volleyball, they only have, you said one girl that's new in the rotations.
I think
Two.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, still with just 2, they have to feel a great amount of confidence coming back into it. Just with not having much change at all.
And how do you kind of incorporate new people into the lineup or just the roster and stuff like that? Do you kind of do any outings with them, or kind of talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Team bonding is a great thing to do whenever you need to incorporate new people. With us, we do a lot of team bonding together. Also, just getting them that experience, getting them as much experience pre-season before going into your actual season is really important. With us, we've fan day was kind of a first experience for a lot of our girls with the game day, the way EKU runs game days. And then this weekend will be our first home game. So a lot of the freshmen are feeling a little nervous because this is such a new world to them. So definitely just trying to get them as much experience as possible before going into season.
Yeah, new territory for sure.
Yeah.
Watching the Jerry Palvino Invitational, they just put on so much pressure on offense for the volleyball side of things. You were in the audience. Being up top and filming, it just seemed every other time they were getting a kill, they were getting a dig, they were getting a block. Kind of talk a little bit about what you saw from the stands kind of side of things.
Right. I just love the way that Coach Bizzani has set up her lineup, because the way she sets it up, I mean, she gives her setters endless options. Because I was looking at different rotations where we've got Carson Ledford and A.G. Vandergriff, which are the 2 best hitters on the team, our starting middle blocker and starting right side hitter. Having both of them on the floor at the same time up at the front, and then still having Sarah Mitchell or Emma Clacerdo in the backcourt to it just gives the setter endless options, and it puts a lot of pressure on the defense, because you can be in position to go up and block maybe Carson at the middle, but then you still got AG on the right side, or you go up to maybe try to even be in position to block both, and then they set it to Sarah Mitchell in the back, and so it really puts a lot of pressure on the opposing team's libero. The opposing team's libero has just got to run all over the court to make sure they can find that ball. And then what worked really well was like they put so much pressure in their last game against Youngstown State. They had just killed them, hitting the ball, and so they were getting scared for it, trying to get ready for these hits. And then Cooper Abney, the freshman setter, was just dumping it over the net, and it would just stun them. They're just gaping holes in the defense.
Yeah, it just seems like the Rivero just runs around the entire time, and it just putting that pressure on the other team. They're never set, and they just seem so disjointed. Even when Youngstown State in the second set kind of got us on our edge in a little bit, but in the third set, Bazzani fixed it, and then they were never set again. And having Vandergriff on that right side, when they try and kill on the opposing side, they're right there.
Yep.
And so we're always composed. Our libero is Spindorf is always just set and ready, communicating with the other players on the opposite side.
I was going to say, I think that's another just huge asset. It's just, Josie gets everything up. Like, she's insane. She had 20 digs against Morehead State. It just really helps knowing that we have someone that can get, actually is capable of getting all over the court. But she doesn't have to be the only one. Sarah Mitchell eclipsed 1,000 digs, so she became the first player since Ashley Wagers in 2013 to record 1,000 career digs and 1,000 career hits, kills for EKU. So she's another great asset on defense, even though she's primarily a hitter. And then Abney and Emily Hill both looked amazing on defense as well, even from the setter position.
Yeah.
So I think just having a lot of players that have a great innate sense to get the ball up and get it to our setters helps our hitters.
Yeah, it seems communication too is just a big thing for the volleyball team. Communication is important really in any kind of sport, but volleyball especially. If you're not set like the opposing side during the Jerry Palvino Invitational, they were never set and they were never communicating. Joey, how important in sports in general is just, when you talked about Rainbow Six Siege and just communication is key, how important is it in sports really just when you're trying to win a match?
Like esports or just
sports in general, just communication as a whole?
Even from the sports I played, you need to be able to communicate with your team effectively in order, if you want to see results. Yeah. Especially in lacrosse, or because that was one of my favorite sports I did, football too. You need that communication in order to actually see the results you're expecting. Yeah,
absolutely. And moving on to the soccer pitch, they kind of seem to get things together as well. I know they just won last week at NKU, which is a big road win, in-state rival as well. So they seem to have things together as well. So absolutely. So moving forward back to the football side of things, the rest of conference play. What do you kind of think, Caleb, moving forward into conference play? Do you think we have a shot at making the FCS playoffs as a whole, or?
Looking off the last two performances, no, but I think we definitely have time to right that ship. We haven't even started conference play. Our two first, opponents are tougher teams to play. So I think we absolutely can right that ship, but I don't know. Looking at them now, I think we're just, we lack the confidence that we need to get there. Like I said, I think that can be fixed. I'd love to see us, I'd love to see the quarterback find trust in his receivers, find him, see him find confidence to stay in the pocket and deliver the throws. The offensive line probably needs to give him a little more time. I think, I think in order to establish that confidence, it's got to start through the run game, to be honest. I think we've got to establish just a good ground attack. And once we can do that, then we can start leaning on play action passes, and that'll give Morrissey more time. It'll give him more confidence when he can roll out and make those throws because they're scared of the run. So I think the way to do it is to establish the run with our running backs. And that's what I want to see moving into conference play. I think that's the easiest way to maybe right this ship is just establish a good ground game.
I want to see more pre-snap motion as well, kind of like what the Miami Dolphins run on their offense. I really want to see some creativity. It just seems like run, pass, and that's just not going to win you football games.
We do seem to have a pretty dull playbook. It feels like one of those very standard Madden playbooks. You don't see a lot of creativity or ingenuity when it comes to the playbook on offense. So I think some pre-snap motion would be great. I think maybe some different routes. I feel like we run either just straight goes or just run up and stop. A lot of drag routes, curl routes. I think it'd be nice to see maybe just let the wide receivers do more, use their speed. We've got some fast guys out there, so I think that could just help them get separation as well.
Absolutely. And then kind of before we move our question of the day, just kind of want some insight. How do you really, what is it like before going into a game? How much, like, do you guys look at any, like, recordings, or what is it kind of like preparing for a game, especially when a target's kind of on your back, like the football team has right now coming up against West Georgia this weekend?
Definitely just we watch a lot of film. I feel like any sport really does that. You don't know if you're doing it right until you see yourself doing it. So watching film is really important, making sure that you know what you're doing mentally as well as physically, because sports is just as much mental as physical. So really just making sure you go in with knowing exactly what you're going to do. Every play, you know exactly what you're doing, so that you can get the results that you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so our question today last week kind of talked a little bit about what sport you would like to play professionally this week, kind of moving into the video game side of things. If you had to be like a video game character or live in a game, what would that be? Joey, I know you were kind of thinking about this a little bit before recording. You really didn't know. You said you never had to answer that question. We were going to answer it today. So what are you kind of thinking about here?
So, I mean, like you just said, I've never been able to answer this. I see pros and cons to every video game I've played on why I would like to be in it and why I wouldn't. I think I'm going to have to go with Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's a good one.
I would like to be in the wizarding world.
I would say the same thing, honestly. Or Madden, being a millionaire, being a pro athlete. Madden or college football for sure. Caleb, what about you?
You know, I was looking at the question. I was trying to think because, like, I feel like, you know, you're thinking about all these games and you're like, wow, that one I would die in. Oh, this one I would die in.
Yeah.
Oh,
But you
yeah,
always come
definitely.
back to life.
That's true.
Not all of them.
But I think I would go with, like, maybe, like, Legends of Zelda. Like, it's just a cool world. It's, like, really pretty. Maybe I wouldn't die. So we're going to go with Legends of Zelda.
What about you, Jenna? You were pretty excited before recording, so.
Put me in Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
Okay.
That's
I
a
want
good
to
one.
be in Mario Kart.
Buy stuff from the mall, you know, that racetrack right there. So I would
Coconut
definitely
Mall.
have to go Madden or college football, being a millionaire, being a pro athlete. So that'd be really cool. So that kind of wraps it up for this week. Thank you guys so much and for listening, and we will be back next week. Thank you guys so much.